You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for yet another Sans AU video. I know this series has kind of transformed from me covering extremely popular Undertale AUs into a series where I highlight AUs created by my own fans, but I kind of like going over my audience's stuff more, as it's nice to know how many creative people there are in my fan base. In fact, one of my favorite videos I've ever made is my How to Stop a Genocide Run video, as the sheer amount of people sharing ideas and plans in the comments was awe-inspiring. Anyways, today I'll do my best to cover a vast assortment of Sans AUs, going over backstory, personality traits, design, and more. Like I always say, if you want your Sans AU featured in one of my videos, please shoot me an email. I'll flash it on screen now. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. Cherry Tree Sans is a Sans AU created by Dr. Doofenshmirtz. This Sans has a particularly keen interest in nature and the animals that dwell in the overworld. Because of his interest, first gave Sans a cherry tree seed they had in their pocket. After putting the seed in his jacket pocket, Sans just forgot about it. It wasn't until a day and a half later when Sans woke up to find that the cherry tree he stored inside of his jacket pocket was now growing inside of his ribs. The reason it was growing without soil, nutrients, or water was because of Sans' magic. Although Papyrus wanted Sans to remove the growing tree, he refused, believing it to be beautiful. After a while, the tree grew to even greater heights, eventually growing through Sans' skull. Despite this, however, he didn't feel any pain from it. Because of the tree, Sans became a lot calmer and more relaxed, which wouldn't be the ideal reaction to witnessing a cherry tree growing through your skull. This Sans now has the ability to summon cherry trees, pink butterflies, and pink flowers because of the tree. Cherry Tree Sans has pink skin, white shorts with pink lines, a white undershirt, and a hoodie that's a darker shade of pink. Overall, a really interesting and refreshingly simple Sans AU that I really like.
Oh yes.
Saga Sans, or Sans the Skeleton, is a cyborg that was created by Papyrus out of loneliness, who in this universe was the equivalent to Alphys. Sans, much like his original universe counterpart, is a comedian and made primarily out of metal, which should be obvious considering how he's a cyborg. He has a blue and yellow power core in his chest that fuels the power in his bad time eye and acts as his weak point. What's really interesting about this Sans variant is that not only is he capable of dodging attacks, but unlike his original universe counterpart, he never gets tired due to his cyborg body. Much like Mettaton, Sans has three forms: his purely robotic form, which just looks like Mettaton with the name Sans plastered on his face, his EX mode, aptly named Skeleton EX, which gives him the ability to produce lightning, bones, gastroblasters, and bursts of ketchup that can one-shot you, and finally there's his Neo mode. In this form, he gains blue and yellow wings and a Gastroblaster arm cannon, similar to that of Mega Man's. Due to a glitch in his code, Sans is incredibly lazy, and when it comes to battle, he carries a boombox on his back that blasts his own theme song, which in my opinion is the best part about this character. Overall, a really interesting and cool Sans AU, and one I really like. I'm just really into robots and cyborgs. Fun fact for those who watch One Piece, my favorite Straw Hat is Frankie. Insanity's Endgoal Sans is a Sans variant that comes from a timeline branch within the Insanity AU. In this timeline, instead of going straight to killing his friends like he does in DustTale, this Sans leaves notes for himself inside of something called the Sans box, which saves in every reset. Now I don't know what exactly a Sans box is, but if I had to guess, it's some kind of dimensional box we see in the original Undertale. In this box, Sans would save notes of the different routes the human would take. After the human completes a large number of genocide runs, the notes within the Sans box would begin to grow more manic and disturbing, which eventually led to Sans going insane and killing all of his friends in an attempt to spare them from the human's wrath. But judging by the sprites given to me by the creator, he seems to have done things far worse than what the human would have done. Anyways, Sans goes to Alphys' lab to inject himself with determination, which eventually led to him encountering the human. Unlike DustTale Sans, this variant seems to be a lot smarter when it comes to trying to stop the human, as after killing each of his friends, he takes their most powerful weapon to add to his arsenal. The Sans has access to Papyrus' head, Undying Spear, Mettaton Neo's arm cannon, and Determination syringes. He is also covered head to toe in what is most likely blood. My only question is, where did he get all of that blood? Monsters don't bleed, I'm pretty sure, they just turn to dust. Anyways, I like the concept of a Sans expanding his arsenal to incredible heights in order to fight the human, but I feel like injecting himself with determination would just cause him to lose faster, because determination just makes you melt. Ida Sans, or Exhaust Sans, is a Sans variant created by Mr. Dim452, a name that should be quite familiar at this point in my Sans AU series. Anyways, Ida Sans might be the first ever Sans variant that resides in a non-Undertale multiverse, instead residing in a multiverse known as Primaria. Anyways, this Sans, much like DustTale Sans, attempted to kill the Underground's populace, but after killing Toriel, fled the ruins out of guilt and panic. Due to the guilt and panic, he began to hallucinate, accidentally killing his own brother when he started seeing visions of the Hyuman. After killing his brother, he began seeing hallucinations of him, with said hallucinations goading him into killing more monsters. In the end, Sans manages to kill the Hyuman and ends up changing his name to Murder. After completing his goal, he is approached by his multiverse's equivalent to Error Sans, known as Error Plague, who recruited him into his organization of villainy. Within this group, Murder joins a small squad known as the Gang Time Trio, and within this evil group consisted of himself, Paraverse Sans, and Reaper Sans. The three ended up becoming good friends until one day Paraverse was assassinated by another member of the group, Nightmare Sans, or at least this multiverse's equivalent of Nightmare Sans. Anyways, before his death, Paraverse tells his squad mates to fight against Error Plague and stop him from destroying universes. While the two do accept, Reaper is eventually found by Error Plague, who orders Murder to kill his squad mate. Despite their history, Murder accepts and ends his comrade's life. Because of this event, Murder ended up changing his name to Dust and vowed to bring down Error Plague, desperate to better himself and achieve redemption. This Sans initially has red eyes, a yellow shirt, and his hoodie up. Now he dons a green undershirt, red shorts, and a magenta left eye and an orange right one. Overall, this Sans has a really interesting backstory, but I'd like to hear more about the papyrus schizophrenia. That was a really cool concept. Overall, yet another great Sans variant by Mr. Dim.
That's what the mask is. That's what the point of the mask is.
Meaf, yes that is his actual name, is a Sans variant quote-unquote that was created through very interesting means. He was created by taking a human, fusing it with a monster, and throwing in a pinch of Sans' soul in the mix. Because of this unholy fusion, Meaf was labeled an outcast by society, and because of this, he wears a mask. He is 31 years old and is, and I quote, short AF, clocking in at a whopping 170 centimeters tall. Due to his label as an outcast, Meaf spends all of his free time hanging out with Gaster and watching the events of Undertale transpire from the sidelines. This variant has light brown hair, a single yellow eye in his left socket, a yellow hoodie with an upside down red heart, dark blue pants, and always has headphones. He is also known as the Glass Cannon, having 90 attack and 1 defense. Overall, I think it's hilarious to think that there's some little munchkin hanging out with Gaster watching the events of Undertale take place. Noob is a Sans variant from the DustTale universe, an Undertale universe that takes place within Roblox. You know, after looking at my YouTube content, it's surprising I haven't done a Roblox Sans AU sooner. Anyways, Noob lived with his father Verdict_12 and his brother Guesty. He and his brother accidentally gained their powers after coming into contact with test tubes labeled V-107 and 45-D7, with the liquids in said tubes infusing into their skin, granting them powers. Noob has a ton of interesting powers, one of which being the ability to adjust anybody's attack, something I've never really seen before with any other Sans AU. He controls oof blasters, which are exactly what they sound like, has a form called the Yellow Sun God when he's enraged, and by using the 7 Robloxian souls he can stop time, turn invisible, clone himself, and a lot more. He is also said to be capable of destroying multiverses, which seems a little intense, even by Sans AU standards. Does that mean a Roblox version of a Sans AU can beat Goku? His enraged form can last from 1 to 2 hours to 2 octillion years. Yeah, that's 27 zeros. Noob also has a ton of different variants from different DustTale AUs. There's DustTale Misspreading Hope, DustTale Something Isn't Right, Negative Swap Blocks, and a lot more. And if you're expecting an every Noob AU video, yeah, that's not gonna happen, sorry. Anyways, a really interesting and fleshed out Sans variant that I like a lot because I love Roblox. Sanser is a Sans variant that resides in the UnderINC AU, a world that takes place in the far future after the True Pacifist run was completed. In this time, all the original Undertale characters acted as heroes and protectors of their city and were long dead. Sanser and his brother Pyrrhus were human orphans that were adopted by Asgore's great-great-grandson Oscar and his wife L'Oreal. They were both given names inspired by Sans and Papyrus due to them being found on the same day that the heroes of the city, the main cast of Undertale, were being honored. Anyways, one day, Sanser and Papyrus were hit by a truck, resulting in a crack in Sanser's skull and Papyrus's legs being broken. Unwilling to lose his children, Oscar uses the souls of Sans and Papyrus, which were being passed down through Asgore's family, to revive his children, resulting in Sanser and Papyrus to take the appearance of skeletons. Because Sanser was given the soul of Sans, he is able to talk to him through his soul, with Sans referring to himself as Guardian Sans and wearing a large robe. Sanser dons a purple sweater with light blue forearms, a leather strap across his chest, black shorts, and light blue shoes. He also has a massive hole in his head and has a large amount of blue flames erupting from it. Sanser wields 2 bone daggers and has the power to activate a giant skeleton form, which is essentially him piloting a giant bone mech. He's a very serious and forgiving person who likes mayonnaise. Overall, a very unique Sans variant with a very interesting power set and backstory. Wow, I covered some pretty crazy Sans AUs today. Honestly, I don't think I dislike a single one of the AUs I covered this time, but then again, when do I ever dislike them? It's mostly stuff you guys make, and I'm happy I have such a creative audience. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and you know where to contact me if you want your AU covered. I will see you all in the next video.